Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're looking at the Jenner. So, one of the more popular mechs to see here, but getting into this, we have introduced back in 2784 the fact that the Jenner was the sole property of the Draconis Combine was long a source of national pride, designed, produced, and for over 50 years solely used by the Combine. The Jenner was meant to be a fast guerrilla fighter that would go on to form the foundation for highly mobile lances. Five Smithsonian lifter jump jets, two in each side torso and one in the center torso, gave it a jump distance of 150 meters, while its Magma 245 fusion engine allowed for a top speed of over 118 kilometers an hour, making it faster than most other mechs. The drawback to the original model was its armament of a Diplin HD large laser and two Agra 27C medium lasers, all mounted in a turret which could be easily disabled with a well placed shot. While the medium lasers targeting systems proved to be bug ridden, after some tinkering, this setup was eventually replaced with the weaponry found in the JR7/D model, creating a good mix of speed and firepower. Though only 4 tons of armor provided palliatory protection compared to other mechs of the same weight class. The Jenner became the standard light workhorse of the Draken's Combine with the outbreak of the First Succession War, though its reputation would be forever tarnished following its role with the Kentras massacre. Construction of new Jenners continued at Diplin Mechyard's factory in Ozawa until a raw mineral shortage caused the halt in 2815. Though they continued to produce new chassis in 2823, production resumed in Ozawa, with some 3,000 chassis shipped to Diplin's subsidiary on Luthien for final assembly, which itself was retooling to begin full scale production. By 2830, both production lines were producing about 1,350 Jenners a year. The sheer destruction of the succession wars finally took their toll when the last Jenner factory was destroyed in 2848. Though so many Jenners had been produced by then that nearly every DCMS battalion had at least one of these mechs well into the War of 3039. While the other successor states eventually managed to procure operational Jenners, every AFS regiment along the combine border had at least one. The design remained in predominant use by House Curita. All right. A favorite tactic of the Jenner Lances was to gang up on larger mechs and unleash a devastating alpha strike. One or two of the mechs would be equipped with infernal rounds, so even if the enemy survived the first strike, they would be badly damaged and running hot, allowing the Jenners to jump to safety and cool down. A few seconds later, the attack would be repeated until finally the enemy was dead. It was also common practice to pair the Jenners with other combine mechs like the Panther, creating a deadly combination of sheer speed and firepower, with the slower Panther providing cover fire for the Jenner's flanking attack. The Jenner was such a favorite among Kurita mech warriors that it became a benchmark against which all other designs the Combine uh, mechs were compared to. While rebuilding a Jenner production line on Luthien became a top priority under um, Gaijun no Curiel Theodore Kurita, the necessary construction time, along with the inexperienced combine engineers, meant that even with Comstar aid, this wasn't possible until 3046. The recovery of such lost technology and the Jenner's prominence within the DCMS made it a prime candidate to receive new upgrades. However, Luthien Armor Works deliberately avoided any radical changes to preserve the original's core advantages. Hence, while the new Jenner, the GR7K, began replacing the earlier model with little fanfare, it wasn't until the Jenner started to be outclassed by other designs using superior technology that the Jenner pilots began complaining. Still, there was a reluctance to make any changes, and slowly many commanders began mothballing their Jenners in favor of newer, lighter mechs and omni-mechs. Since then, a few variants have utilized advanced technologies in their design, notably one based on a Clan Jenner 2C. But it would take the devastation of the Jihad for many of the older K models to see frontline combat again. All right, weapons and equipment. The primary weapon systems on the Jenner is the four Argari, however it's pronounced correctly, 3L medium lasers, two each mounted in directional variable mountings on either side. These provide the Jenner with a powerful close to medium range striking capability that does not suffer from a lack of supplies when operating behind enemy lines. Though the use of only 10 single heat sinks means that the potential to run hot is very high, the lasers are backed up with a Thunderstroke SRM-4 launcher in the center torso, supplied by 1 ton of ammo in the right torso. That could be used after breaching an enemy's armor to try and get to a critical strike against vulnerable exposed internal components. So, what we're really talking about is with these arms, much like the Locust, because they're not arms, they're really kind of pods. So, you can actually swing these around and fire behind you if you really needed to. One of the nice advantages that a mech like this kind of had on a lot of other mechs because they had standard arms, and by having the myomers, they really couldn't twist around like this. The Jenner has more servos in that could actually flip around and come back. All right, so getting into the variants that we have listed here, we have the 7 Alpha Early Star League era version. The variant replaced all other weapons with one large laser. The 7C, this was a basic upgrade to the 7K, removing one of the medium lasers and replacing it with a C3 slave unit. Combined with its speed, that made the Jenner an ideal spotter for the C3 company. We have the 7C2. Following the start of the Jihad, the Luthien Armor Works and LB Adi, if I can say that correctly, began upgrading the Jenner, borrowing a page from the Clan Jenner. The C2 is armed with 3 MML5s, making the mech effective at all ranges with 3 tons of ammunition. Heavy ferrofibrous armor was added as well, but in order to make room for the XL engine, XL gyro, and small cockpit were used. A C3 slave unit allows it to share targeting data with other members in its slants. Finally, the jump capability is increased to 180 meters. The 7C3, an upgrade along the lines of the C2, the C3 stays true to the heart of the Jenner, making it easier to do its field upgrade. The lasers are upgraded to ER medium lasers, and the heat sinks are accordingly upgraded to double strength versions. The missile launcher and its case are dropped for an additional heatsink and additional ton and a half of armor, and a C3 slave unit. All right, then we get the 7C4. This variant uses the experimental C3 boosted slave to share targeting data. Its weapons have been removed and replaced with a pair of MML5 launchers, 10 double heat sinks, keep it cool, and the heavy ferrofibrous armor ensures protection. Now we get to the 7F. After the failure of the initial Jenner model and its weaponry, the 7F was the Combine's first attempt to rectify this problem. While it mounts the same four Argura 3L medium lasers as the D model, it does not mount the SRM-4 launcher. In its place, carrying 3 more tons of armor while lacking any ammunition-based weapons made it a superior raider. Additional testing found that it lacked in short-range firepower, which led to the addition of the missile launcher. A few of this variant survived uh, into the 31st century. All right, the 7K. This adds a higher degree of survivability to the Jenner by upgrading the armor to ferrofibrous. While removing half a ton of the armor, this provides virtually the same amount of armor protection while allowing space for a case to protect the SRM-4 ammunition. The 7N, this variant uses the chassis and heavy ferrofibrous armor of the JR7C4 as a baseline, but returns to the weapon's configuration reminiscent of the original Jenner. It carries a pair of ER medium lasers in each arm and the SRM-4 in the center torso. An XL engine allows it to reach a top speed of 111 kilometers an hour, and 7 jump jets allow it to cover 210 meters at a time. 11 double heat sinks control the heat, while the Beagle active probe allows the Jenner to find hidden units. A single ton of SRM ammunition is carried in the right torso in a case to protection ammunition bay. All right, getting down to the JR-10X. This is an experimental variant of the Jenner developed during the Jihad. It was a testbed chassis for the law on New Samarkand in 3072. Manohar Kalahari used the JR7K as its base. With extensive revisions, its internal structure was changed for a complete internal or composite internal structure. Its engine changed out with a 245 rated XL engine, which helps maintain the Jenner's original speed. And the forward jutting cockpit was shifted to a torso mounted cockpit. Its missile weaponry was completely dropped in favor to increase the mech's medium laser armament up to 6. The number of jump jets increased from the base model to 7 for the mech's protection. It has an Angel ECM suite, and its hull has been increased from 7 tons of light ferrofibrous. It also has been outfitted with stealth capabilities using an experimental null signature system. Only 7 of these mechs are known to have been built. All right, we have the JR7-31, the Rattlesnake variant of the Jenner, and its subvariants are typically considered a distinct mech, but shares the predecessor JR7 alphanumerical code. So out of this, we have the Jenner Webster. These are custom variants, nicknamed Crow. This was a personal black-clad mech of 7th Sword of Light mech warrior Shelley Webster to both reward and support the aggressive warrior's frequent death from above attacks. A swap to double heat sinks allowed a number to be removed. Let me reread this here. A swap to double heat sinks allowed a number to be removed and replaced with additional jump jets. Okay. It's just not making sense in my mind for whatever reason. I don't know why. Okay. We have the JR7F Jenner Smith, piloted by Tai Mika Smith of the 2nd Darien Regulars during the War of 3039 Battle of Vega. It drops all jump jets for 2 medium lasers in the torsos and an additional half ton of armor, maxing out coverage. The JR7K Jenner Grace, known as Cat among the mech warriors of Sorensen Sabers, the personal mech of Grace Shiro, has been extensively modified over the years to aid her role as the unit's spotter, originally trading 2 medium lasers for extra armor. In the lead up to the War of 3039, her mech was outfitted with less refined experimental endosteel chassis and ferrofibrous armor, allowing the SRM-4 launcher to be replaced with an advanced octagon missile magnet NARC missile beacon with 3 tons of homing pods. Okay, and we have 2 more here. We have the JR7K Jenner Grace 2. Refitted prior to the Jihad, the prototype chassis and armor of Grace's Jenner were swapped for now refined production grade components while retaining the NARC missile beacon, dropping its ammo to a single ton along with the removal of her mech's jump jets allowed it to replace 2 of the medium lasers with a pair of light PPCs and add a C3 slave unit to ensure her spotter role. Then we have the JR7-K Jenner Samuli, customized Jenner for mech warrior Samuel Samuli Reni. I'm sure I butchered that as well, which is in service of House Kurita. The mech's engine was upgraded to a 245 rated XL engine, and protection was provided by 3.5 tons of ferrofibrous armor. By removing the standard SRM-4 launcher, the DCMS techs freed enough room to add case and a single LRM-15 with 2 tons of ammunition. Renee's Jenner keeps the standard complement of medium lasers, though. All right. Going from there, the basic design quirks that we have is no minimal arms, or no slash minimal arms. Because it really just comes down to just your shoulder joint, we don't have anything below there. Related battle mechs, we already read off the Rattlesnake, the Jenner 2C, which is the clan variant of this. And then we have Owens, an upgraded Omni version of the Jenner. The Owens debuted shortly after the Raptor and Black Hawk KU Omnimex. All right. Now, getting into all the different pictures that we have here on Sarna.net, we have the original one by Luce. That is seen in the 3025 technical readout. 3050, we have an upgraded version of what it looks like by Joel Bisk and Jim Nielsen as the inker. Let's see, we have another one from the 3050 upgrade, I should say. This is from Brett Evans. Let's see, and it says it's the tactical readout, so let's see. Experimental. This is the 10X by Chris Lewis. Nice looking mech here. We have another one from Alan Blackwell. And this comes from the clan version. And this looks like one of the card basics or possibly a book one. And for whatever reason, they actually have the cockpit head swiveling a little bit, which is a little bit funny to think that it's just a forward-facing cockpit. This is from Franz Volkerwinkel. I think I pronounced it correctly. If I didn't, I'm sorry. Let's see here. This is obviously, to me, what looks like a nice book cover from Jacques. And let's see. Oh, from the collector card game. All right. Explains why it's all nicely done like that. This is another one from the collector card game. And this one is from Jacques himself. The second installment. Here's some of the cards that we would have gotten in some of the beginner sets. And this one was done by Chris Mollier. Nice looks of them. And of course, he's got that head twisting again. kind of taken from one of the earlier ones. One of the miniatures that we actually got, um, I'm going to say I think this is one of the upgraded uh, kind of plastic miniatures from one of the starter boxes. And this is from Dude RB for the photo. And last but not least, we have another one of the miniatures. This is another plastic one. Uh, Photos from Mai. Uh, and again, I'm going to see now this is from Inner Sphere Striker Lance. So this might be one of their newest versions that they have in some of the different sets that they've come out with recently. Let's see here. And there we are. Nice looking pictures. Credit goes to all the people that have done them, taken pictures of them, and so on and so forth. Now, I want to throw out the cost. This was starting off at 3,198,375 C-bills at the time. Of course, once we get into later versions, those prices just skyrocket from the XL engines, the ferrofibrous, and ER medium lasers, and so on and so forth. But just keeping it as the standard, which is where I have been doing for all of our D6 stuff. It is interesting to see where the price is. All right, let's get into our D6 stats. All right, so here we are. As you can see, it's not a huge list like what we have with some of our tanks, but there again, it is a simplistic design with simplistic operating parameters. So the Jenner being Walker scale, as our standard kind of goes. We are still topped off at our light mechs being at 35 tons, has a crew of one, no passengers, cargo capacity, leaving that still at about 25 kilograms, which I think for our mechs, that's probably where I'm going to leave it. As stated before, our cost is 3,198,375 C-bills. Ground range altitude, because this is obviously a battle mech, not a hover vehicle, not a flying vehicle, whatever. Ground altitude range. Maneuverability. Now, 35 tons. So going by our system here, that takes it down by a +1, which starts us off at a 2D +2. And because of its max speed being 11, that gives us a +1D +1. That's how I've got the 3D +3. Now, if you wanted to make it a 4D, go ahead. I don't think it makes a huge difference. I think it's just okay. So you already always have a bonus of the 3. No big deal. However, you really want to work that, that's perfectly fine with me. All right, our move, as stated before, we are going about 118.8 kilometers an hour. We do have a jump out to 150 meters, and the body strength being for our weight class is 3D +1. Now, this does have 64 armor points on board. Our weapons being the 4 medium lasers. Now, again, these are going to be fire linked on here, so that's why we have 7D for our damage. Fire control is 2D. Then we have our SRM-4. Again, Walker scale, fire control is 2D. We have a 4D for the first missile, and so on and so forth. This is all the same that we've seen many times before, coming out to about 70 if you're shooting all 4 missiles at one time, which I'm sure most of us are going to do that. And if we're shooting 4 missiles per round, we do have 25 reloads. So, kind of devastating. It's one of those things of the missiles in Battletech are not set up to be quite as devastating as what we get if I was using the actual Star Wars. But if I'm doing this as Battletech, yes, the SRMs are 4D for the first missile and so on and so forth. But the fact that Battletech has these big swaths of missiles that launch out. I mean, you have LRM 5s, 10s, 15s, 20s. I think when it gets to the MRMs or MMLs, medium missile launchers, and that I think they go out to like 40s. And I could be a little mistaken here because, and to my own, honesty here, when we were getting into a lot of that stuff, we were kind of running out of time to be able to game. So we didn't really get into the traditional Battletech that we would have done. At that time, that's when the Jihad had happened. WizKids had the miniature line, so we were doing the miniatures through WizKids, the Hero Clicks and all that stuff. So that's a whole different type of game, and it takes me away from doing it in the traditional Battletech. Now, it is great having those miniatures because they do work very well for playing Battletech on a big table. Essentially, all your ranges are double the length to make it all work out correctly. Those are some of the things I do vividly remember because I remember us doing Battletech that way a couple times. But again, it's one of those things of me being older, friends have kids, and trying to get everyone together amongst everything else. That's where my downfalls are and why I have not gamed in quite a while myself. But it's not that I've ever lost my love for these games, which is why I do these. And trying to bring this into like a D6. And I'm hoping to try and get things going here to have like a little D6 campaign, and we're going to see stuff from like BattleTech and GI Joe and so on and so forth, and it'll have a reason for it and why it can all work out. However, you want to play any of this stuff, this is just for the love of the game and as a way for me to get off my own behind and kind of get some of the stats done for this stuff for myself. Hopefully you guys enjoy this, having your interactions and you guys talking to me about things that you really like out of some of the series and some of the things that you'd like to see, whether like we had the Toro going, jumping ahead at that one. So I'm sure later on, if I don't remember I've got it, we may see it again by accident. Hopefully not. I do have it written on my sheet, so hopefully that doesn't happen, but you know things do happen from time to time. With that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. It's always wonderful having you here. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you in the next video.